Okay, welcome to our public meeting to order. We always start with our public participation at Hatfield Select Board meetings. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all public meetings of the town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and communities of the town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that the open meeting law affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings, but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from members of the community and conducting the required business of the Hatfield Select Board. For the public's information, this meeting is being recorded. We'll start with announcements, and I just want to announce that if anybody in town has a son, daughter, or grandson, granddaughter, and they're interested in police service or fire service, a career in law enforcement, a career in fire service, please contact our chiefs, and they'll give you all the information that they may need to possibly have a career with the town. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So we do have some people leaving the police department, and we are short on the fire department. So if anybody out there wants to get involved and help their community, the town of Hatfield, it's a great opportunity. So those are my announcements. Do you guys have an announcement?
No, only that deadline for any elected positions for pulling papers for any elected positions and returning signatures is at the end of March 31st.
Okay, March 31st.
Yep.
Deadline. You can also go online to our website, which will be new starting April 2nd. We'll have a new website coming up.
You'll notice a new design of the website. Right now, the scheduled date is April 2nd. Yep.
Yeah, April 2nd. So you can either come down to the town hall and talk to the town clerk, or go online for more information. We will go into public forum. Is anybody here for public forum?
Oh,
You're not
on the
not
agenda.
Public forum. Okay. Okay. Nobody's here for public forum. We'll move to minutes if I have a motion.
I'll make an motion to approve February 24th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, topic one. We'll go right to an amendment to Tree Works Host Community Agreement. To my understanding, there was a snafu in the paperwork. There was like a wrong date that was printed, and there was something on the wording, and that's my understanding. It's nothing major issue. It's just something that we have to correct. Is that?
That is absolutely right. There's no material changes to the document, and we do have someone here from TreeWorks this evening, I believe, in case we have any questions. But it is just something that's flagged by the Cannabis Control Commission. This, I think, has happened with all of our host community agreements. They have gone through them with fine-tooth combs and found very specific things that need to be fixed. So this would be an amendment that would correct the date of the final license date for TreeWorks. And would also make a slight adjustment to what the services are, the fees that are charged as part of a hosting agreement. So,
Okay, thank you. Do my colleagues have any questions on this?
I do not.
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to TreeWorks Host Community Agreement.
second.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Tree Works, you're all set. Okay.
But we'll get you a signed version since you have it. Karen will send that along.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Topic 2 is budget review. We continue with budget reviews of our different departments. Our first one on the agenda is DPW, which will include water and sewer. So I don't know who's making your presentation on the water and sewer.
This is the board. You have 3 small budgets after us if you'd like to take them first.
And some folks who are joining just for the budget piece, so it might make sense to do historic and recreation first. That's all right.
That's fine. Okay, we'll take historic
Who wants
then,
to go
or
first?
recreation. Who likes to go?
Evening, everyone, and select board.
Oh, come up
Kathy,
to
if
the
you don't mind, just take the,
microphone and
first
have a
one,
seat
please.
in the front by the mics. Please state your name, and I know you're here representing historical. And so let all the folks in town know who you are.
Good evening, everyone, and select board. My name is Kathy Olson, and I am a member of the Hatfield Historical Commission. And sitting next to me is our co-chair, Amy Novak. And we are here to present our budget request for 2027. Would you like me to run through the line items or?
I mean, well, you don't have to
describe-
go through the line items. You can highlight any changes that you're requesting or increases that you're requesting.
Okay.
Or you can also take the time to mention anything that the historical commission's been doing, or just to let the townspeople know what's
Okay.
been going on.
All right. Well, for all intents and purposes, it's a level funded budget that we're requesting in the amount of $2,350. And it incorporates expenses that cover the Hatfield Historical Society events and activities that they might need support with. And it also, the Historical Commission is responsible for funding the museums and any of some of their needs, and watching over infrastructure needs, and if there's any major repairs, we would definitely enlist the funding from the
CPC grants.
CPC grants and all that kind of thing. So,
We're already working on stuff for a cleaner application process for November to just kind of continue the momentum of some of the gravestone work that has been done. Of course, hopefully you're all aware of what's been going on with the Farm Museum. They've been working intensively inside, redoing, redecorating, and getting ready. Also, in the library, I was able to meet with Meg Baker, our curator. They're getting ready for changes upstairs in the library for the 250th celebration this year of our country. And I have to agree with Kathy, everything seems pretty level funded. The only thing I'm a little nervous about is the electricity, because everything, of course, is going up. And being new to this process and new to the being a co-chair, I guess my question would be is, what if we go over budget? What typically could somebody explain to me and maybe to townspeople, what happens if our budget for electricity is twice that?
Usually what happens is the finance board always recommends you go forward and spend the money, and then if for some reason you let us know if you're going over and the reason for it.
Okay,
And then near the end of the year, we can do a transfer if it's within reason. Or we do have other funds that we can transfer money depending on the circumstances and the conditions. Usually, if we know that something's going to happen, you just have to spend for electricity, you spend it, and then we try to make up the difference with a transfer of funds at the end of the year. I mean, that's been unless you have something to add.
The only other thing I'll add to that, and you're exactly right, Mr. Chair. The only other thing I'll add is that the way that we do our budget, when you're actually expending during the year, if you go slightly over in one line item, but you're under in another, as long as the overall department under the category, so let's say services, supplies, is under and has funds available, you're okay. So in the past, you haven't come close to going over your budget. So I think even if one line item is slightly over, like you did once for fire extinguisher inspections, that was slightly over, but it was no problem because it balances the rest of the
good to
budget.
know. Being, like I say, new co-chair, I'm just trying to grasp the financial part of it, and we
You're looking
appreciate your
good.
time.
Yeah, so we don't have a problem. These things happen. I mean,
Yep.
we don't have control over electric bills or gas bills.
Right.
That's always an unknown in our,
Mhm.
and we've been warned that electricity rates may go up. So it's going to be something that we don't want to see, but it's not going to be unanticipated type of thing. So
And I think
I-
that's pretty much it for what we have, item-wise and budget-wise. It's,
I do thank you both for volunteering and being on the historical commission. We do appreciate it for all
I'm
the work you
enjoying
do.
working
Thank you.
with the Historical Society as well. I feel like we're not merging, but we're working well together, and there's all kinds of, it's exciting to see stuff happening, the little events.
Now you have a collection upstairs, part of it,
Mhm.
and that's under climate control, so
Yeah.
that's been
Mhm.
taken care of. And
Yeah.
I know in the future you'll probably be looking for more room, but right now, I guess the needs have been met for the most
Yes.
part.
Yes.
I don't know if my colleagues have any questions on
I
their
don't.
budgets.
Nope, it's all good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. We'll take Carrie, Recreation Commission.
Thank you, Marlo, for letting me go before your budget. I'm Carrie Flaherty, for anybody who may not know, but I'm the new apparent chair to the Recreation Committee. I had filled a vacancy spot last year just to get us back to a board of three or a committee of three. And thankfully, we've had some people step forward and step up, and we now have a full committee of five, which is great to be back into that, of having enough people and holding meetings and lots of different opinions and knowledge to try to move forward the recreation department as a whole. A lot of good things have happened over the last few years. But our budget line that we're talking about tonight is the normal $5,000. Just so that you are aware, our plan in spending that is to, we're gonna till up and renovate the baseball field at the elementary school, which Shea Landscaping took care of it for us last year. And we're gonna add to it the softball field behind the old center school, which was used for recreation for many years, probably as long as my daughter played up until last year. And then we started using Smith Academy. Not that there's a problem with the Smith Academy field. However, we have a field here that's specific for rec, and it was for rec. And it's sized for recreation softball too. It's not as, at the high school, you have to make different lines and different circles for pitching purposes and things like that because of the regulations. So it just makes it easier to maintain one field specific to the elementary school kids' grade level, obviously, for the sport, and not have to worry about changing stuff at Smith Academy or worrying about, I say, messing up their field, which we never had that issue. I just don't want it to be a problem. Working with Mr. Duncan has been great for the last 2 years anyways, but we've decided that putting the rec softball back behind the center school, and parents will know that parking will be on Main Street and or in the parking lot out back here, that they won't be able to use the parking lot behind the condos, because obviously that's for those that live in the building. But for a couple days a week for softball purposes, I think it'll be good to see the field being used and the resources being used appropriately. So our goal is to have, if he can, Shea Landscaping again take care of both fields and getting them prepped. He has the knowledge and the history of being able to do stuff for field activities like that. And if for some reason he can't take on that job, then we'll be looking for some company to come forward and give us a quote and hopefully take care of both fields, just so that they're prepared correctly for both seasons. And then just a couple other extra things in regards to rec, just because I'm here. We're hoping to reach out to local businesses possibly, or any family that is in carpentry or building, that kind of stuff. We have the funds to be able to buy the materials to make dugouts down here behind the center school for this field, just like they have at the elementary school. And it's been a conversation piece that we would like to consider building some type of coverage for the players when games are going on. There's no coverage down here currently. So like if it starts to rain or if it's really sunny, which that field can get, good sun at certain times of the day, it'd be nice that the kids have somewhere to be able to like go into the dugout and be able to sit on the bench while they're waiting to play or take the field, etc. So our hopes is to see if we can get the time donated to build them, with us using out of our revolving fund for paying for materials if necessary. I mean, if somebody is gracious enough to donate some funds towards materials, then that's great too. But that's just one of our project goals for this year. We have a ton of parents that I can't thank enough that have stepped forward to be coaching for all of our seasons. Sometimes it's been pulling teeth to get somebody to come forward last minute, or you got to ask that person, and it's a lot of work to give up your time to be able to do that. So we appreciate it. This season for softball and baseball, I have more parents than I honestly can put on teams to coach. So it's great having that ability to have parents stepping up and wanting to coach and help out all these kids for sports. And then the last smaller project, which thank you to Marlo for putting forward this. The hope is, if town floor for CPA purposes, is to renovate and bring to code correctly the park next to the fire station, between Fishtails and the fire station, with the right, not that it was done wrong, but that to bring it up to code, particularly for safety purposes of the right wood chips being in there, and playground structures. We're looking to hopefully make it that we can have some swings that are there that are for ADA purposes too, so that all children are able to go down and use the location versus it being restricted to mainly those that don't have disabilities. So at least they could go and use the swings, and maybe even some other play structure if we're able to find it, if it falls within budget, to give them the ability to use the rec location. I mean, obviously they have the ability to use the school, but it'd be nice to have that there too for people who like to use the basketball courts also, or pickleball. They've been playing down there too. So kind of make it all around options. So it's a goal for town floor that hopefully everybody will approve the project, because it's definitely one that the residents should be supporting, hopefully. So, and I think that's it, as long as nobody has a problem with our $5,000.
I think it's nice to see that the field that used to be the Little League field,
Yep.
being used for softball. And I know that one way they did fundraising is when they got businesses on the fence, they put their banner, their name on it.
Yep.
So if the businesses gave, a good donation, they'd get a banner with their name and their business on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And-
So, and that's not hard to do.
Yeah.
So we would definitely do that to recognize them. And we have a Facebook page too. So social media wise, we'd be able to, recognize the business and be able to get that kind of publicity out there for them too, in regards to that, of anything that they can do to help us out. So.
And you did answer one of the questions of parking. As long as the parents know that they have to park on Main Street or back here, then that should resolve any future issues. As far as the playground, I think it's great. I think CPC has approved the funding to move forward at town meeting. And that would be nice to do that park over here.
Yeah.
Especially if they have a summer concert series and they have young kids, they can use that park. Or if they have young kids during the day when school's in session, they can use the park because they won't be able to get access to
Right.
the elementary school. So I think those are great things. So.
And one of me particularly, I've always been a supporter of it, and I'm glad to see that we're hopefully able to. I'm a big supporter of making it available for everybody to get to use it. So I want children or adult children to be able to use the location and have it be safe for them, be it swings or the play structure itself, etc. So it'll be nice to be able to have it available for anybody to use, residents or outside residents, out of town residents that know that we have the location, that they can bring.
Yeah, plus
people
behind
down
the
here.
center school used to be softball on the opposite corner.
Yeah.
That used to be Olsey Construction, and St. Cas softball teams used to play there, and then Little League, and then the high school, Smith Academy, had their baseball field in the middle.
Yeah,
On
we
the
had, and then we had
right-hand
field
side,
hockey down there too at one
so-
point. So that field's been used for a lot of sports. So it's
So,
good to see it back
yeah.
used again. So
Nice to see it being used again. So I do thank you for your work on the committee and also the committee members. I know it's a lot of work, and I know you have the summer stuff coming up pretty
oh,
soon.
yeah, sorry, I
Yeah,
completely
so
forgot about that. Well, we'll be
yeah.
posting jobs for that too. We have a director. She'll stay, Kelly Bryant, who's run our summer program for the last couple of years. She's going to be our lead director, and we're going to be posting hopefully soon. I'm hoping to meet in the clerk's office or the treasurer's office this week to see if there's a job description already for the assistant director position. And if not, I might have to work a little bit with Andrew in getting that figured out so that we can get a posting for that to have an assistant director. We'll be running an 8-week program like normal. And this year we're offering 5 days a week, full days, 3 days a week, full days, or half days. So the half days is new and we'll see how it goes. I've heard some parents say that they would like half days versus full days. So we're hoping that people are signing up and we have a deadline. So the only thing I can express is that we cannot open up the application process after the deadline happens because we have to hire enough counselors and people based on numbers. So it's not something that once the deadline hits, we won't be able to open up. So that's the only thing. And thank you for bringing up summer rec because I forgot to speak about it. So
Okay. Do you guys
I
have
have
any
nothing.
questions?
I'm good.
thank you guys very much.
Well, thank you for that. Okay, Conservation Committee.
Should I go after DPW? Because I'm doing 2 things after that.
That's good.
Or you want to wait? Or you want to go back with the DPW? I know Tony's here with the
Yeah.
water and Marlo's here.
I think out of the 11 and 12 budgets, we could start with the water because I invited Tony
Okay.
tonight, our water superintendent. Come on up in case they have any questions, Tony. So in general, Tony and I worked together. He did a lion's share of the budget. He knows where he's at with testing and chemicals and the different compounds we have to test for, so on and so forth in our drinking water. The one big change to water and sewer is the first line item. In many communities, a director's salary is split 3 ways from the general budget, water budget, and sewer budget. So Andrew and I talked about it. We felt we were in a pretty good position. So 20% of my salaries are going to come out of water and 20% is going to come out of sewer. And that $50,000 or thereabouts will come off the general side budget where you see me in the highway area. The only other really big change to the current budget is going to quarterly billing. Our water postage and mailing is going from $200 to $2,200. It seems like a lot, but in the past, Tammy's kind of carried that on the general ledger, on the general side of the budgets. And technically, water and sewer, we should be paying the postage and handling for the water sewer billing. Those are the only major changes to the budget. But if you have any questions whatsoever on the water budget, Tony would be happy to.
not represented on the sheet that I have.
There was a new version that should be in your packet.
Oh,
You can tell the difference because this one's vertical and the other one's horizontal. So
All right.
sounds good. Tony, is there anything else you want to say about?
No, I mean, it's just a level funded budget. We've got no COLAs in there because we don't know what's gonna happen yet. We don't anticipate any major expenses. I mean, obviously electricity and stuff's gonna go up, but we're hoping to stay within budget. I mean, right now we're doing good, knock on wood.
Well, usually the unknowns are the chemicals and the electricity.
The chemicals and stuff pretty much run even. Chlorine does increase every year. That just goes crazy. And believe it or not, chlorine gas is the cheapest thing to make. It's the transportation, getting the tanker cars to the factory. It's incredible what they charge. But everything else is staying relatively stable. So,
Okay. Any questions on the budget for water?
Nope.
The only question I have on water is how we doing with catching up on meters that need to be fixed there?
we're working on it. I hung a door tag out today because a customer wanted a meter test, which we haven't heard any conversation from. The 2 phone numbers we had for them didn't work. So the door tags are working to get people's attention when we find them broken. We're currently working on our water regulations because we do have a problem area that we really want to address differently.
And that's mostly access to property. Is that what you're,
No, it involves a parcel with many units on it that
okay,
we're trying to address issues.
all right.
And
But
we're going to do that.
So
with our
most of the
regulations.
headaches are gone that you guys had on the meters and,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes.
that's what I'm asking. I mean,
The door tags that we came up with and Tammy had printed up are working phenomenal for us.
okay.
I mean, some people, yeah, oh, I got this about 3 months ago. I finally decided to call, but it is what it is.
So right now, you're still working on certain regulations so we can figure out how to get a few issues that are left unresolved.
Yes.
Essentially, we're looking at the regulations or the rules we have now, and we're updating them to today's standards, like using other communities and whatnot, and so on and so forth. So a couple months, we should be able to bring them to you all to.
Final approval.
And we're putting a document together so that you can see the strike through and the crossouts and what's changed in our current. We're going to put that together for you so you can see what it said and now what it should say, and we can explain it.
Those are my only questions. You guys have any questions on?
No, that's good. I know we were talking about doing that stuff also with the bylaw committee,
Yes.
making sure those all line up well too with your policies.
Yeah, because we don't have too many bylaws at
Right.
all.
Right. But it could just refer to your stuff. Yeah.
I mean, the plant's running good. There's no major things that we have to be worried about in the future.
We're actually doing real well up there. I mean, we've got some upgrades we're going to do once things calm down in the springtime. The electrician's already on board for it, but it's a lot of mechanical work in the basement to put new valves in, and and nothing's light.
Nothing's ever easy, so.
No.
I think I'm going to pay for this, but we've had a pretty good winter when it comes to emergency work too, but I'm not going to say those words. So in the industry, we don't like to say those words. And I think you know what I'm inquiring on as far as our system and our pipes. But
I mean, currently we're offline at the water plant. We're running on the wells just because of spring runoff. The water looks as yellow as can be.
Spring runoff, does it cause levels to exceed where we have to treat it more, or?
No, it actually will plug up our filters a little bit, and you can't treat for color. You can't filter color out.
Okay.
So we just don't want the water quality issues. It does increase our demand for chlorine just because it's organic material, basically the leaves and stuff that have been decomposing all winter.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a rain event where we take the place offline and keep things running smooth. But
I mean, some of the advantage we have in town is we have the wells, the Omasta wells and
West
and
Hatfield.
stuff, and Bet's old wells, and we've been fortunate to have those as a backup just in case.
Yeah, and it helps out tremendously.
And I know the reports on water quality have always been pretty good, so they do that like once a year or something, right?
The
Or
water quality report?
yeah,
Yeah, I actually just paid for it. And now I just got to put in some information because they had to activate the account and make sure all the legal wording is in there properly for us. But now I just got to go and put in our results for testing of contaminants we found.
Okay.
But what we've noticed is in the past, the way the report comes out is amount detected, which could be 0 or none detected, and then to the highest range detected. And that just, the highest range is what comes up as detected. So we could have, at one place, we could have none detected, and over here we have a 2. Well, that's what the reporting level is 2. So it looks confusing to people. They're like, why are we always at the highest range? Well, if you actually read the report, we're not in a violation. We're under regulations. It's just, it looks confusing the way the state makes us do it in EPA.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And I think we did some work last year to reformat some of that just because it was so confusing. It made it look like everything we reported was right at the high end of the level, which wasn't the case. We were well within the acceptable range.
Right. So we're working on that.
Okay. I guess that covers the water side.
Yeah.
Sewer side is, do you want to give the report on the
Sure.
sewer side? Okay.
Sure.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay.
So on the sewer budget, as I had indicated earlier, 20% of my salary is in the top line item. The other salary line item are 3 operators or 3 personnel we have at the wastewater treatment plant. It doesn't include a COLA to be decided later. That's their current, the number in there is their current pay. Small increase in electricity, about 5% is what we're anticipating down there. We're also we have the new plant and the infrastructure up and running, and we just don't know yet what that's gonna look like with the new equipment. And then there was at the time I wrote this budget, or Eric and I and Kenny worked on it, we took we level funded the fuel price, because it looked like it was going to decrease, but as we know, it's gone up significantly lately. All kinds of fuel has, so hopefully that'll stabilize out and we'll be good at that number. That's level funded. Small increase on the sewer laboratory testing and assessments. That's laboratory price increases of 10%, and also PFAS testing, that additional chemical compounds that we have to test for in our wastewater now too, along with the drinking water. The large increase is sewer sludge hauling. To explain our sludge hauling, it generally goes to Lowell, which is a long trip, but some loads go to Montague at a much cheaper price. Going into the budget, I called the solid waste district, and Janamine sent me a spreadsheet, and this looks like a pretty good number. We just don't know how many loads will be going to Lowell and how many Montague will be able to take from us. So we kind of got to carry that number in case, say, we only got 2 loads that go to Montague out of the potential 26 loads that we send, sometimes more, 29 loads a year. So there's a slight increase for the addition of Comcast with the new infrastructure down there. We had to add Comcast. All plays into the SCADA system and reporting system. So there's a slight increase there. And again, the quarterly billing, postage, and handling went from 200 to 2,200. So everything else is level funded in this budget. We tried to keep everything as level as we could.
Okay, I'm curious with the renovations, if the costs are gonna increase on just the maintenance side. I understand that the operation of the plant will be a little bit easier than the way it was, but I don't know if the maintenance costs are gonna have to increase for new equipment or what's involved there.
Well, we should be under warranty for all the new equipment that was fired up a couple weeks ago for a while, so that will carry us. I don't expect maintenance costs to go up, or they should not. Everything's brand new. But again, you never know. There might be something down the plant that wasn't replaced that we lose. You know, you can lose pumps, you can lose
Well,
different
some
things.
warranties say that in order to have the warranty, you have to do like certain things, like an air handler, you have to change filters, or you have to grease the motor. So I'm not sure what warranties are are we gonna get, whether we still have to do specific maintenance to make sure the warranty holds or not.
Yeah, and that should be part of Kenny's whole O&M plan out down there, operation and maintenance plan. I'm sure that's going to be a new plan that's going to come through when the project's handed over to the town, once we own that treatment plant, if you will, again, when they're done.
Okay,
So, again, we don't know how the plant, Kenny has worked, the guys have worked out a few kinks down there, but from when they fired it up to now, there has been nothing that's been earth shattering or head scratching for them. It's gone quite smoothly for everything so far. But again, we don't know adjusting blowers and adjusting the pumps. Can we run them 18 hours a day or do we have to run them 24? All that stuff, playing around with that stuff. I don't know what the electricity is going to fall at.
And my other question was a new generator that was put in down there, whether all the generators in town are under a contract for the one generator company, or whether like the elementary school generator, the generator out here.
They're all under the same company.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just curious about that. Okay. I know there's costs that are unknown, again, like electricity and chemicals and waste and sludge haulage, and we just have to wait and see, I guess, on some of that.
Yeah, and again, the high number for parts and materials for the collection system, you never know what you're going to run into with the collection
Right.
system. I
Hopefully
believe
with
2 weeks
the-
before I came, there was a problem here on Main Street, so. that can
Hopefully
happen.
this renovation will cut down on any major repair that's needed for a few years, so
At the plant, yes.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Those are my questions. I don't know, you guys have any questions? No?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Licenses, are we still working on other licenses down there? I mean, I heard that the wastewater treatment plant, we have to keep getting different licenses.
So currently, the superintendent has the proper license. It used to be categorized as a 5C wastewater plant. It was downgraded to a 4M, for municipal. So the superintendent is properly licensed. Our new assistant can apply to advance to the 4M after July 1st. He's got
Oh,
the
wow.
time, the new assistant that we hired, so he should be good to go. It's not a matter of testing or any more time. It's, to my understanding, it's a matter of him filling the application out and upgrading it. So we'll
Nice.
have 2 full operators down there that can operate the plant,
Perfect.
or certified to operate the plant.
Well, that's certainly good news.
Great. Yeah. All right. I guess
Highway.
I think you're in alphabetical order. I put it in an account number order, but
That's fine.
unless you got any more questions on sewer.
No.
So I can jump to 294 tree warden. Get an easy one out of the, hopefully out of the way.
Go for it.
So this is a level funded budget at 45,000. We're sitting at around 18,000, 17,000 right now in the current budget, with a lot of spring work to come. So I level funded it. And if we recall, 5,000 was cut for the special town meeting. So I think we're in pretty good shape by level funding that going forward. It'd be my hopes to get some trees planted this coming year too. That's about it. One line item.
I know we had a lot of trees because of that disease that we had on the trees. Was it ash, or was it wasn't there a lot of trees in town at one time?
Yeah, a lot of
That
ash trees died. Yeah.
a lot of ash trees died, right? So that was, I don't know if that's still an issue because I know we were cutting down a lot of the ash trees that were on town property.
I think we're running into a lot of Norway maples now. They've come to the end of their life cycle and they all want to die at once. That's kind of what's going on. We trimmed some of them as far as we can trim them, but Norway maple was a foreign tree that was brought here, and they just don't get the years out of them like a local hardwood or something like that.
Well, at least if a tree's under the power line, that's the utility company's issue.
Yeah, I must say that the utility company has helped us out in a few different instances. It really helps our budget because they're looking out for their infrastructure.
So, all right, I don't have any other questions.
Nope.
No? Okay.
422 highway. you'll see at the top is the balance of my salary after the 40% going to water and sewer. You'll see an increase that's contractual on the second line, other regular salaries. Those are union recognized positions and it's contracted for a 2.6 or 2.5 or 2.6%. So I added those in because those are contractual. And there's the highway superintendent is to be TBD later, as they don't fall under the union contract. So there was an increase in the next line item, part-time seasonal temp employees. The 10-hour position for office, I like to call that an office manager, was in another account somewhere else. It's kind of one of the changes I made, but it's part-time for DPW, so I moved it to this account. So that's why you see the increase there. And also, I don't believe there was an increase for the actual summer help positions here yet either that I added in. Overtime shift coverage, that's kind of really fallen behind over the years because of the cost of living and the straight time hours. I raised it to 33,000, but then I looked at the current budget and discussed with Andrew. We certainly can, if we have to, we can deduct from that. If we get to that point on the overall budget for the town, we can take another look at that. Comcast Verizon's been coming up pretty short. Or actually, we haven't been spending the money. My apologies. So I put that at 3,000 just because of the normal increases from the 2,500 that we expect as far as increases. Admin and office supplies, I think that's another area. I level funded that, but I think it's another area we can take a peek at if we need to absolutely find more money for the overall budget. Custodial supplies, I held that level funded. Public works supplies, that's another one where we can take another look at it. I level funded it, but we can take a look at it for some monies if we absolutely need it. So uniforms is contractual. That's been coming up short. So I increased that to where it needs to be. Looking back in Vadar in previous years, we've been coming up negative on that. I just adjusted it to the proper amount to cover the contractual obligation. Other expenses, I deducted $120 off that just to give us an even number. And I also decreased the dues membership by $25. It's only a $250 line, but we haven't been using all of it. So that basically covers what I've done in highway.
I have a question on the regular salaries.
Yes.
So from it's a pretty large jump, $55,000 jump.
Yeah.
And what was that to accommodate?
So that's
2% COLA is only $8,000.
So that's 6 personnel.
There was a laborer position that was being funded from the sewer budget in the past because they were hired as a sewer operator and then ended up working mostly with highway, and then we're actually catching up now by moving that to the general fund.
So
rather than from
that's the
sewer.
majority of the difference.
That's the majority.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good piece of it. The
Oh,
rest is cost
all
of living. I'm sorry, I missed it on my notes, but we needed to correct that.
Okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense.
It was a position
I
that
was
at
trying
one
to figure
point
out
was
where
kind
we
of
got
doing
$55,000 out of a 2%.
Yeah,
COLA.
it was
Okay.
it was a position that at one point was really working across departments, but that's not really the case anymore.
Okay,
So-
yeah, I mean, yeah, as long as it's captured.
I had it on my sewer presentation that I missed at the top because you'll see that it wasn't that big an increase considering the overall salaries in that line. That's why I failed to mention it here, but that's why it kind of did a switch.
Gotcha. But it's not backed out of regular salaries out of sewer, though.
Yes.
It's not. At least not in the sheet that I have.
Because they should still have, well, we left budget for a third person in case they do choose to hire that operator in training position.
Guess I'm confused. Aren't there 3 sewer operators currently?
So we have
Yes.
3 people, but one of them is part-time. So we have a superintendent in the sewer department. We have a part-time
So we're
assistant.
creating a position.
There was
Essentially.
always a position budgeted there. If anything, I guess we're creating a position in the
In highway.
in highway for labor, but there functionally was a person there. So we're correcting the budget on the highway side.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
from what the budget was in
Yeah.
both 25 and appropriated 26.
Mhm.
If we're going to take that laborer that was being paid out of sewer
Mhm.
and now is going to the highway side, that number should come back out of sewer.
I guess that's a decision for this board. If you'd want to remove that entirely, you could. But the argument from sewer would be that they still want to be able to hire for an operator in training. If you
But I
wanna
guess
bring it
that's
down
where
to
I'm
nothing, you
going
could.
with saying that we're essentially creating a position in highway.
Right.
Because that number's not being backed back out of sewer.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think
We're
because
adding
there's
a $50,000 position in the highway side.
Which legitimately has to come out of highway, not sewer. You shouldn't be paying that position out of sewer if they're working in highway.
Right. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to just
Um,
there's a $50,000, roughly $47,000 difference between the number that we're talking about with a 2.6% raise for COLAs and this number that's in here. So either
Yeah.
it should either get backed out of sewer because they're not paying it any longer, or we need to discuss creating this position, especially trying to fill this deficit moving forward.
I think that's
It's a
fair.
pretty
I
good
think
chunk of money.
I think if you look on the highway side, it ends up being relatively flat because there's the change from $125,000 in 2026 to $76,000 for the director position. So right there, it ends
Mhm.
up kind of being flat for highways. That's fine. But you're bringing up a good point, which is what should the staffing level be in the sewer department? And I think that that's something that needs to be discussed because right now we have 2 full-time positions. They are funded for essentially 2 full-time positions and a part-time person. And the part-time person, Eric Meals,
Mhm.
is compensated quite highly because he's been doing the work of an assistant superintendent. We've now hired an assistant superintendent. So the question should be, what does that third person look like? We've heard that it's good practice to have 3 people working in the sewer department for a system of our size. So right now we do have 3 people. One of them is compensated quite highly for being a part-time person. So we do need to look at, are we creating a position there? Do we need a third person? If so, what are they paid at? It's a good question.
So the, under the DEP accepted staffing plan, it works out to an odd number, 2.5 staff you're supposed to have at that size plant down there through the staffing plan approved by DEP. And as Andrew had mentioned, our hope is to move as the new assistant becomes acclimated with the plant and used to the plant, which takes some time, the idiosyncrasies in running that plant. At the end of the day, I'd like to see the org chart. You have to have 3 people or you have to have 2.5 according to DEP. But at the end of the day, I'd like to see the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and then a laborer or an operator in training, which can be offset. There's not actually 4 people here. It is like an extra half person in case we make that transition in this coming budget year. In other words, with our current personnel, our part-time person we have now eventually would come out of the picture and we'd have 3 of our own operators down there.
Right. But currently we have 2.5, right?
We have 2.5 is fair. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
we're under our current model, we are meeting the DEP guideline for that plan.
Correct.
Right.
I'd also say, I don't know if we really created a position because there was always an open position for a laborer that existed. It's just we did have that being filled by this person who was hired as a wastewater operator in training and kept doing the job, and that was being funded from there.
I don't
So,
disagree
yeah,
with that. But it was being funded out of sewer.
Yep.
So now that it's not going to be funded out of sewer, that number should come back out of sewer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. It could. So we should probably run the numbers again on what the number actually should be for staffing for this year. And if they want to add that.
Right.
person,
I mean, at
then we
least
need to
if we
create a
can run the
position.
number for what those contractual COLAs are.
Yep.
And then back it out of that 405, 892 number and figure out what that difference is for that quote unquote created position.
Yep.
It should be somewhere at the, 48,000 range. I
Great.
would think.
We can do that. I
47.
think
Yeah,
you'll
I
see that
have-
number come down.
Yeah, I have the exact number. I didn't put it in this folder. Actually, back at the shop.
And I'm not trying to
No, it was.
be a
it was-
pain, but I
No,
know
no.
that we have a deficit that we're going to have to look.
You make a
from
very
elsewhere.
good point because, I mean, we understand it, but we have to make sure that the townspeople understand what we're presenting in the budget. So your points are very valid. So it's a
Yeah.
very good point because when we go to town people and we present the budget and they'd be asking the same questions
Right.
you're asking.
Yeah.
And then it makes it easier to explain it that way. So,
Yep.
no.
All right, we can get that number.
Yeah,
I'll
That'd be
take that.
great. Thank you. Other than that, everything else makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
And it is confusing if we were going to transition to our own organizational chart, our own operators, that there needed to be a little extra in there on top of Eric's.
Right.
to
And maybe
cover them.
that's an opportunity. Sorry to cut you off, but maybe that's an
Okay.
opportunity where, we don't have, maybe it's not the full 47,000 needs to come out. Maybe 30 comes back out of sewer to cover that position going to the highway side. And we leave a little something in there so that we can then continue to supplement those operators that we do have.
Okay.
And it could also be something that in 3 years, when we're through this deficit that we need to come back up, we could add the position back in and fund it when we have a little bit more funding available.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't think it's something that necessarily needs to go away forever, but
And then the way the sewer budget's presented right now, it ends up looking basically flat for salaries besides the portion that it takes on of the director's salary.
Right.
So when it comes, and plus, it doesn't help us on the general fund side anyway, where I'm trying to make sure we can stay
Right.
pretty stable. This is from the
but that's kind
enterprise
of where it gets confusing too, because in the sewer, the piece that gets slid over isn't represented when you look at your percentage changed, but since it came back out of your professional salary on 5110 on the
Mhm.
highway side,
Mhm.
that's what makes the highway budget balance.
Mhm. Yep. So you've got an increase in the labor side, but you've got a decrease in the director's side. So
Correct.
that's what balances it.
But
Yep,
it's not
that's right.
captured. It's not captured in the percentages on the sewer side.
Yep, I agree with that.
So
Yep, so we can work on that.
great.
Yeah, because if we don't understand it, the townspeople won't understand.
Right.
We have to make it so everybody understands it.
Yes.
So-
But like I said, other than that, everything else to me looks great.
And again, it was all about trying to correct a sewer position working full-time out of highway.
I totally get it.
It's all good. Any questions?
No.
No? Okay. Hey, that covers that. That wasn't that bad, was it? Okay.
No.
How many more do you have?
I only got like 15 more.
Right, let's keep going.
Okay. I don't have to be city councilors here either. This is okay.
That's great.
So the next one is 429 facilities. Basically, the COLA was included for our custodian. So there's a slight increase there. And everything else was level funded. At the bottom, admin and office supplies, we can take a look at that down the road too. To possibly take a little money from there. All these places that I'm mentioning is small money, but if we need it, we certainly can talk about it. Just in the public works world, one year you don't use something out of a line item, and the next year you go $20,000 over. It all depends what happens in all our moving parts in construction.
Yes.
So that's basically it on the facilities. I level funded just about everything except for that one salary.
Looks good.
The other piece is I'm looking at all the budgets as we go too, to get my own sense of how they're spent and when monies go out and what they look like. So I've been kind of tracking it, trying to understand where we're going to land in June on these. So when I built these, I was looking at 1/4 of the year. Obviously, we spend less money in some areas in the winter, and we spend more money in other areas in the winter. It just it's a constant moving target with over 200 accounts that are always moving in all the things we do. So next one is 421 Public Works Administration. There was a little bit of a spreadsheet error here that came up for me, but currently there was 43,700 appropriated and 5,300 the Public Works professional services. That's generally consultant firms, third-party testing if we need it, when it comes to stormwater, and also the FERCog contract. So I was looking around to see what was budgeted so high there, because we currently have 35,000 left in it. My best guess is there was a project in mind by my predecessor that probably needed engineering. I'm going out on a limb and guessing it was for Straits Road, but we turned around and we're going after that grant, which
I
hope
believe
we-
that's what it was.
Yes.
Yes.
So I have cut that budget back to 17,000 for this coming year.
That's great.
If anything else does come up though, and for instance, some of our work on Route 5, it might make sense to have a little bit more of a budget there. So we can check on that and see where we stand for everything.
Yeah.
And we'll decide if it makes sense to build some of those Route 5 costs maybe into its own account, take some money from free cash, or build it into a budget. So we can talk about that. Ideally, we'll get reimbursed for all of that, but we can talk about that later.
These accounts are, the professional services are kind of important. It's one of those things where you hope you don't want to use them.
Right.
You know, like if we lose a culvert, I'd have to take it from here if we needed some sort of approved design for DEP.
Sure.
Right.
With our culvert situations these days, and the way they like to see them done. So
It's nice to have some extra budget there if you need it.
Looks good.
I'm good. Good. Everybody's good.
423, snow and ice.
This is a big question,
Oh.
right? This
Well,
year's
presenting
been
the new
easy.
budget's easy. I just want to say real quick, and I like I said, I don't want to take a lot of time on these, but from my experiences, Luke and I have talked a little bit. So the snow and ice budget really is extremely underfunded for today's costs and whatnot. In road mileage we have here, we have about 56 miles. Should put us in a target range of around $100,000 for a snow and ice budget for a normal winter. And honestly, it's starting to prove true as I track this winter with 20 different storm events that we've had. So I have increased this a little bit. Andrew and I have talked about it. I increased overall $5,000, especially with the overtime and whatnot. COLAs go up on straight time, but they also go up a lot more on the overtime. And if you look at about a 40% increase in cost with salt, if you go back 7 or 8 years per ton, cost of living's gone up. So I understand it's the one budget that you can go over and you can backfill. And it's just my opinion that this has fallen so far behind. I think every winter you're going to be in deficit. No matter
Well,
what
that is by design, and the
Oh, I
reason
understand.
it's
Yeah.
the reason it's underfunded is by design, because that's the only budget that you can spend over the amount, and then usually you can pay for it the following year once you know the exact amount. This way, you're not tying up a lot of money for something else that the DPW could be using it for. So that's basically the intent. So, I mean, the finance committee likes it that way, and when we meet with the finance committee, they'll give you the same explanation on why they don't like to put too much money into it. But
The long-term goal, which I think, Select Board Member Longstreet and Marlo share, which is one we should be moving to, is you put a budget together that adequately captures what the floor is the floor for costs. I think you want to try to get to that. If you know that you'll be spending around that each year, then you
Well,
want
we'll
to
have
try to
that-
move some of it out of free
we'll have
cash.
that discussion
Yeah.
with the finance committee.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm more on your side of this debate anyway, Ed, but yeah, we'll work this out.
So don't get nervous about it being underfunded, because we know that's by design.
Yeah.
So,
But it was increased $5,000. Everything else was level funded. I split it between the salaries and the snow and ice supplies. You'll see that there's an account or two missing. It didn't make sense, those other two accounts to be broken out, because I can do my salt and sand under the 5530, and all I gotta do is go into Vadar and I can break that out for anybody that wants the information. Rather than have more accounts, I kind of consolidated snow and ice a little bit.
Sounds good.
winter, so I mean, you guys have done a great job making sure the roads are taken care of this year, and, you just, I think you did pretty well.
They've done great.
Any questions?
No, I'll bring it up in finance.
Okay. That's fine.
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay, 424 streetlights. I have a $2,000 increase in here, anticipating expected increases. I looked at the 6-month lookout, 6 months into the current budget, and we were pretty darn close. So
That's good.
I'm thinking the 2,000 should get us there for this year. And that's the only account number in that budget.
I don't know if they'd ever get to the point where some of the street lights are solar, so that they're using the solar to help off, like have batteries recharged in those units. But we'll see.
So since I come aboard in July, I've probably had 15 different lights replaced, contacting Eversource that were reported to me or through the DPW. And so I started taking a look at the street lights, and the older style is everywhere in town. And the only time they replace it with an LED is when the old one burns out. They don't even carry the old bulbs anymore. So when I get some spare time, I kind of want to dig into that and work with Eversource and see if we can get all the lights swapped out to LED, and see how we can get that done, because that's going to be an electrical savings for us too on the other end.
Yeah,
All
you would
right.
think it'd be pretty large too.
Yeah.
From those old style bulbs to going to LED.
Yep.
As long as they're not like the blue LEDs. We like the nice amber soft light. Yeah.
Off lights.
Those are in my truck. No. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Motor pool vehicle maintenance, 425. So I level funded. Actually, I took $159 out of our repairs and maintenance, brought it down to 48,000. I think we can hold that, even though we got increase in everything we buy for a vehicle or a truck. It's getting pretty outrageous even for a light. So I'm level funding it only because that I think we've done pretty good with the fleet. We have another truck coming aboard. I kind of do this little formula in my head and look at the overall fleet age, and I'm hoping that I can maintain that as level funded, but still probably spending most of it just because of increasing costs. The vehicle maintenance, rental, and leases, I have a number in there. That's the current number, 139,462, down from 233,631 in the current budget. But that does not include any vehicles that get approved going through the process for capital this year. So it have to be added. Currently, the water and sewer, you probably caught that in the water sewer budget. The two new vehicles, they have their own lease line for their numbers on that already. So that's coming out of water and sewer for the new water and sewer vehicles that just arrived recently. So, like I said, the number's down to 169 from 233, but that doesn't include whatever gets approved through the capital process for new equipment.
Capital planning meets next week. They should be able to finalize.
You have a question there?
So the water and sewer vehicles that are in their budgets, sewer's 20,007 and water's 42,450.
That should get cut in half. That that water number. Should only be 20,000 for water.
I
Is
can
that what it
check with
says?
Tony, but yeah, I can check with Tony,
That's
but
not right.
I think.
It's
yeah.
40 all in for, or around 40 for both those vehicles. So
Okay.
if sewer's
40,
carrying
45.
20, the water one should get cut down to 20 as well, right around
Okay.
20.
So we
that's-
should note that
Yep.
because
that's
that'll
around
change
22
water
and a half.
budget.
Yep. We have to
And
fix that.
then I guess my only question is, so if those are both 20, that's $40,000, but there's a $100,000 decrease for motor pool?
It has nothing to do with those water sewer vehicles, because it's $100,000 in vehicles that's come off the lease this year.
Oh, with other vehicles as
Yeah.
well. Okay,
So
not
it's
directly just because
ambulance,
of those.
two pickup trucks, a COA vehicle, all come
Oh,
off the lease.
perfect.
Yeah, all those
Okay.
leases have
Yeah, a whole
expired.
bunch came off. That was the number I just got from them when I built this budget.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Contacted the lease company.
Sounds good.
So you have 169 as a number right now?
I have 139,
Right.
462.
Good. That's the number we should have.
Tired eyes, sorry.
Yep, nope, no problem. If we were to add the two new vehicles that the Capital Improvement Committee is considering, that would bring us up to around 170, 180. But we have to decide if we want to bring those in and add those to the lease. I'd like to keep the lease number low, but we can talk about that. All right. What's next?
Let's see. 433 transfer station. So for our two part-time employees there, there's no COLA included. So that's a level funded cost, level funded salary. My apologies. Transfer station equipment repairs and maintenance, I level funded that, but it's another spot where we might be able to take a little money from there because I just replaced the compactor, the new chute, and replaced the trash can that hooks to the compactor. And I have enough funding left in that compactor account to replace one of the recycling cans too. The other thing that's coming out of that account is the electrical service to the main building that supplies power to that compactor is in really bad shape. Same with the meter socket. So I have an electrician next Tuesday. Eversource is coming and we're replacing all that equipment because it's dangerously rusted. So,
No doubt.
and then the other two accounts are level funded. Well, excuse me, no, they're not. The transfer station recycling and hauling is a contractual thing. It's supposed to go up $2.64 a ton for FY27. So I increased it from 23 to 26,000 on our average tonnage that we haul or have hauled for us.
That's good.
And then the trash is also a $5 increase per ton under contract. I went from 30. I actually level funded that, and I'll say that we've had, looking at the history, we've had some pretty good money left in there. And then looking at our tons, I felt that I could level fund that, and we can still cover the $5 a ton increase.
Well, the only question I have on a transfer, I mean, last year there was an issue of people dropping off their brush and getting the brush taken care of. Is that still an ongoing issue, or do you think that's been resolved?
We had a few at the end of the year. Currently, I'm working on a way, I think we discussed it at a meeting early on, about adding a camera on one of the poles. I think the current systems I have in place can be used, but I'm working with the IT company right now on another issue I'm having with that system. So, but we can continue with that if we need to.
Okay.
But it hasn't been a real big problem
All right.
since I arrived in July, anyways.
Okay. That's good.
Yep.
Townwide fuel, both line items were level funded. We'll see where that all goes, but I level funded the equipment repairs and maintenance and the vehicle fuel. I level funded also.
Was that walked in through the COG? Did we, on the
I
fuel
believe we have
side?
a contract.
We
Yes.
have a contract, right? So we're looking on the price, so the price increases right now won't affect us because we already have a
No,
locked-in price.
no, I don't know what the
There-
contract says, but
It won't for this year, and then we'll join the FERCog for next year.
Yeah.
They'll be getting the bids probably soon.
Okay.
We'll see what they do.
I'm kind of concerned about paving this year. I hope it comes down because there's a fuel escalation on paving too.
Yeah.
Um,
Cause and effect.
Yeah, we'll see where we land.
I believe, last but not least, is the cemetery budget is level funded at $10,000. One line.
Most of that's for mowing, right? Maintenance?
Mowing and the implements to mow and some headstone repair, emergency repair,
Right.
stuff like that.
And that's usually summer help, right? You have summer help do that most.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're looking, it looks like we won't have any returnees this year potentially, so we'll be looking for summer help somewhat soon.
Okay.
Get the word out there.
I don't have any other questions.
I'm good.
Very good.
Right?
So, you got a little dress rehearsal before the finance committee, so you're all set.
No problem. I tried, Bella. I tried to go.
Okay, we're going to move to topic 3. I actually,
You can do conservation real quick.
you want to do conservation real quick? Okay.
There's not much to say.
Yeah. All right.
Bella will take that.
All right.
Okay, it's level funded.
More to say than that.
The biggest thing from last year was that they added a $5,500 salary for a conservation agent, which is me. I'm also funded by planning and CPC, so I think conservation's remaining stable for this coming year. The planning might go up, but otherwise it's just stuff like professional development, which is for training at various like seminars and conferences that can also be used to train new commissioners, which is really important because it's such a technical job. Advertising and legal notices in the paper, and then also membership fees for MAC, Conservation Organization, for commission members and for me. That's it.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I mean, you're level funded and
They're right on track with their budget for this year, so all looks good.
Very cool. Okay, the first thing is about establishing an affordable housing trust. I think you've heard about this before, maybe at a previous meeting a little bit, but the idea would be if you choose to, you could adopt this statute, which you have in your folder, the red text in it. The statute would create a board with certain powers that would be able to review requests for town funding for affordable housing projects. So right now, the group that does that is CPC. A lot of times these applications are pretty complicated and technical because of state law around what affordable housing projects can look like. And we have heard directly from CPC that it's kind of burdensome and that they maybe don't have the technical capacity to review some of these. And so if you chose to adopt this statute, either at this town meeting or next town meeting, it would create a board and give them these powers, after which 5 people, one of them would be one of you by state law. And then once the board was created, they would go through a period of training to review these applications and understand the process better of like what a reasonable request would look like for requesting funding from town housing funds for affordable housing development. So we have also a housing authority, and just to clarify what our different housing groups already are, the housing authority only deals with municipally owned properties like Capewalk, and it has appointees on the board who are like appointed by the state, right? Who aren't necessarily
One by the
residents.
state, and then one by select board, and
Right.
there's a process for those, yeah.
Yeah. So you could, if you wanted, adapt the statute. If you adapt it too much, it kind of, if you strip the board of like too many powers, it kind of ceases to be a functional board. So you would have to go through maybe some advice from the housing, what's it called? The
Mass Housing Partnership.
Mass Housing
or
Partnership could
CPTA.
advise on like what would make sense to even adapt if you were interested in like reviewing this in detail and tweaking what the powers that are given to this board are. But in order to change that, you would need to adopt a bylaw to do that with. So just to sort of sketch out a timeline of if you did adopt this statute and create this board this year at annual town meeting, you would basically create the board. This statute doesn't move any money into their account. It just creates the board and allows them to be trained for the foreseeable future until money would be moved into their account. Over the course of 2026, if you created the board in May, they could be trained. And then in 2027, you could vote, the town could vote to move money out of CPC housing bucket into the Affordable Housing Trust bucket. And then after that, they would be trained up and ready to review proposals for affordable housing developments. One potential benefit to getting this started sooner than later is that we have access to technical assistance right now from Mass Housing Partnership until October 2026. And so if the board were created this year, Mass Housing Partnership could train that board. And then also simultaneously, if we're working on a housing production plan update, which we are, and hoping to have that finished sometime in 2027, then the board would be like trained and sort of ready to work on goals of the housing production plan in 2027. So the question is, are you interested in forming this board? And if so, do you take issue at all with the statute? You don't have to vote, like think about this right now, but I suppose in the next.
Well, my first question is,
Yeah.
the town has to approve this, right?
This would have to be
So-
approved at
Right.
town meeting. Yeah.
So
Any
by
adoption.
creating a board now, are we putting the cart before the horse? If the town doesn't approve it, then
Oh, when we say create a board, we mean, are you interested in this idea? Would you like to move this potential statute towards town meeting and have the
Okay.
town decide on it?
all right.
And if so, we would have a public meeting before that. Mass Housing Partnership could help by facilitating a webinar of sorts or something else. We get more information out there and get public feedback so that we're really ready to move on this
So
at town meeting.
our next step is moving this to town meeting.
Do we want to move
If
this to
if
town
we
meeting?
say, I'm in agreement of that, I don't know, I let my colleagues speak for
I'm in agreement
their
with this. I
opinions.
think this is a good idea.
I mean, all we're doing is taking the housing portion away from CPC and moving it into its own dedicated board.
In
I
a
think it's
sense,
a
yeah,
great
because, and they would still decide every year, do we want to take money from CPC and put it into
Into the bucket.
this housing trust? They could still, review any applications on their own if they wanted to.
Right.
But there's still a town mechanism for saying, should this board even get money? And that would go through CPC.
Oh, plus my understanding is with the trusts, we don't have to wait. They won't have to wait for town meeting to act on something. If they come across something
Right.
that's workable, they can move right ahead.
Yep.
Right?
Because the
And
funding would be allocated already.
That's right.
so,
Well,
I like
great.
it.
We can move on to getting more community information out there, but I'll bookmark this as something that we'll put on the warrant for your approval.
You need a motion on that or not?
No, because the motion will come when we actually put it on the warrant.
Oh,
I would
move this
like it
forward.
If they could come and present in person
Yeah.
and not web style.
What,
I think
what was
we
the
get a
problem
lot
with web
more-
style?
Oh, yeah, yeah, right?
We get a lot more out of it.
What happened?
I'll set something up.
That'd be great. Yeah.
It's me still.
Oh, hey. All right. So, Mr. Chair, I think we're done with.
Ties in with the state grant that we got, so if the town approves it, then they will assist us,
Yeah,
right? So that's.
and they're already assisting us by getting information together, whatever else. But
Yeah.
we've got them helping us until the end of October. So might as well help us see if we can get this passed and then train up a board. So great. Thanks, Bella.
Okay, good.
And Bella now has the floor for topic 4, if the chair wants to move there, to discuss.
Battery energy
yeah.
storage systems.
And this is the big piece of zoning that would come before town meeting this year. This is a new bylaw to discuss. Bella's been working really hard on this. There's a lot to discuss here. We thought it was a good idea to get some community information about this sooner rather than later. So she'll give you a quick presentation on this tonight. More to come, but whenever you're ready.
Okay. A result of some things that have moved pretty quickly at the state level. In the fall, they released this model zoning bylaw for us to help guide our regulating of battery energy storage systems, because these are something that was basically put forward by the 2024 Climate Act as a statewide goal for the 2050 like emissions-free Massachusetts plan. They're like a key component of that plan. And so it is mandatory basically that towns allow these. They will allow us to regulate how and where they're sited. And that's because we have no zoning regulations around these at all. It's important that we get those in place quickly. And so
What has been the concerns of battery storage that have everybody up in arms making all these regulations? I mean,
yeah, good
is it,
question.
I know that they're for larger solar systems
Right.
and they're big and.
They can be really big. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but I've been reading a lot on it, and it's just trying to understand what exactly is driving this for all these regulations.
The safety
Maybe you can
concern, it's
Speak on that.
called thermal runaway is what people are often referring to as sort of the basis of what is scary about them. Potentially, there was a period of time, it was like, I think 2017 to like 2022, where there were some widely publicized battery fire incidents where the thermal runaway basically is like heat spreading from one battery to the next, and then it creates a big fire. And battery fires are really difficult to put out. They take a lot more water to put out, or you can use chemicals to put them out, but the chemicals that you would use cause chemical runoff, and can be quite messy. So after 2022, they sort of radically overhauled the safety protections and fire protocol for BESS to improve these and make them more palatable and safe for people. But it is still sort of an issue. Like the overarching question here is, and I'll get to this in the presentation a little bit, but where in town can we accept even like a 1% chance of failure of something like this? So that's sort of a good framing for why we're talking about it at all. Like you said, at the larger scale, they store power for renewable sources, solar and wind farms. They can also be just for like a single residence. Like if you have like, say it's a barn, even if you have a solar panel on top of a barn and you're generating more power through that than you need on a regular basis, you can store it in the battery and then release it, it's a battery, to your property in like low supply periods. So they can be anywhere from like the size of like a Tesla battery all the way up to like multiple shipping containers in a field kind of thing. In 2026 of this year, the state is going to start permitting larger scale BESS. So we're talking about like multiple shipping containers with batteries inside of them. And maybe you can explain at some point what you've seen when you've done like the fire training on them. But they look like big shipping containers a lot of the time, effectively from the outside. In July, the state is going to start expediting the permitting of these larger scale BESS installations through what they're calling consolidated permits. So that's taking all the permitting process that exists around this, including like fire, electric, DEP, Board of Health, building, and any zoning that you have. And they would do that all in one big permit from the state level quite quickly. And so if you don't have any zoning, that part, it's even faster. So this could happen sort of rapidly without us having any regulations in place, unless we adopt them in May to try to get ahead of that July consolidated permit thing that they're doing. People ask if we can do a townwide moratorium on these. We cannot because of the Dover Amendment, which is a clean energy siting law. We can't ban them townwide, and we also can't ban any one size of them. So we can't say like, we only allow small scale BESS in town. We don't allow the big ones. We have to allow all sizes, but we can control through what permits we allow them and then where we allow them. So they provided us with this model bylaw that you have. The blue boxes are like state guidance for what we're allowed to modify in the bylaw while remaining in compliance with the clean energy siting laws. Another reason it's important to sort of think about these in the Pioneer Valley in particular is because we have all of these big open expanses of undeveloped flat land, which are really great for siting large-scale battery installations. And you may have seen in the paper that nearby municipalities in the Pioneer Valley even have had these proposals come to town and they haven't had any regulations in place. And there's been blowback for Concoms and for planning when they're kind of caught on the back foot about it. So that's what we're trying to avoid. Planning can only regulate batteries that have like actual land use impact. So if it's like the size of like a water heater in your basement, that is not something that planning can deal with. It's only something that has even visual impacts from like a neighboring property, but it has to have land use impacts. We cannot ban BESS from the majority of the town's land area. That won't pass the AG. We have to, we can't confine it to, let's say, like just the industrial section of town because that's not enough land area for the law. But we can ban BESS from zones that exist for the stated purpose of protecting public health and safety. So that would be like the drinking water protection district and the floodplain, which is what is in this bylaw. So of course, before, everyone knows this, but before a BESS development reaches planning, it has to go through all of the local fire, state and federal local fire, electric, building, and environmental permitting processes. And then planning just deals with land siting. So this bylaw basically creates like rigorous development standards for BESS that don't appear to be blocking clean energy development from occurring in Hatfield in order to meet the requirements of the Dover Amendment and pass AG scrutiny after a vote. It proposes a tier structure for permitting BESS at different sizes. It provides a table of uses, which is like where and through what permits or approval processes Hatfield could allow different sizes of BESS by zone. It creates strict application and ongoing site management requirements for the developers. And it creates some pretty strict environmental protections for Hatfield's natural resources, in particular farmland soils and drinking water. The review processes are the standard planning review processes. We have site plan review, which would allow BESS in certain zones, but with strict performance standards. Then we have special permit, which would allow, but it would allow the planning board to deny the proposal if the proposal isn't able to meet certain performance standards. And then we are able to ban it, as I mentioned, in certain designated zones for public health and safety protection. It requires things like that the developer provide an O&M plan, an emergency response plan, including you can require a communications plan for nearby residences. So if there's an emergency fire that breaks out, you can require that the developer have a plan for alerting neighbors and coordination with fire and other emergency services. You can require that they demonstrate 110% containment capacity for any liquid hazardous materials on site. And that they put together a decommissioning plan and even a decommissioning fund for if it's to be disassembled in a set amount of time. Sometimes these are leased. So it references the Hatfield Design Guidelines Handbook for visual stuff like lighting and signage and vegetation screening. And then it would be, in fact, I was able to work these in, it would be the only place in any of Hatfield's regulations that we have protections for native soil. So it would require the developer to provide a map of any NRCS mapped prime farmland soils and other priority soils for protection, and require that they avoid disturbing those soils if at all possible, and if not possible, that they preserve and protect those soils in a designated area. Long story short, if all of the regulations are met, this is like a type of development that could be positive in that it contributes to the tax base. It doesn't create like significant new traffic. Often these are leases, and so if it's done right, it's like solar or BESS could be put on farmland and then removed later so that the farmland remains intact. And this can be a source of funding for a farm to sort of carry it into the next generation. And theoretically, it can stabilize or lower energy costs for an individual or the region. So that's kind of those would be some of the positives. But ultimately, it would be a zoning bylaw that we would vote on adopting at town meeting 2026. And the urgency, once again, is that in July, the permits for these are going to be moved along more quickly by the state. So that's sort of the idea. On the back page, you don't have to look at this now, but there's a table of uses, which would be where they're allowed and through what permit, and then the zones. And then up here, I kind of put in like a description of what they might look like at the tiers that I created, which is sort of helpful because they're really difficult to visualize.
Okay, my only question is the planning board planning on doing like a PowerPoint with this at town meeting, presenting all this, or should we
Potentially a
have it on
shortened,
YouTube
more-
or?
I did the presentation for the planning board last week. I want to put together like a handout that I can have in the office, or maybe it could be up in the clerk's office. That's just like a one pager about what these are and like what, just a little more, public facing, simple answers. It is I'm concerned that this is alarming to people and that people might see adopting a bylaw that allows them as an issue. It's important that people understand that we don't really have a choice to adopt something that also regulates them, if that makes sense. But at town meeting, if I understand correctly, we have some time to do a presentation, but not maybe this much time, or I don't know. What do you
I mean,
think?
it's a significant change in some ways, and you'd want to make sure that residents feel like they have information about it. And it's the kind of thing where it would be great to do a presentation ahead of time so that folks are interested in check it out, and they can do a shortened
Yeah.
overview handout at it. But that's really up to this board. You'll know
Well, I
more than
mean,
I will
if-
what the
if-
residents want.
And in the past, anything that's concern to the residents, we try to do a presentation of some sort
Sure.
beforehand, whether with John to just go through each of these and
Yeah.
just mention what's being said. This is a lot of work and a great presentation. I just wish all the people in town could see the work that was put into this.
I'm happy to
That's
do it again. I wasn't sure how much time there is, or if I should come up with like a sort of shortened one, or if this is too technical. But it is a technical subject, so
You've
don't
done
know.
this for the planning board, and now
Yeah.
you've done it here. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
we
some
get
options.
Can we get something in the media, like on our channel or something for that?
I think
Yeah,
Because that worked out really well before for us.
it worked out great for the special town meeting. If we
Yeah.
did a similar thing
Hmm.
with Bella or someone from the planning board, yeah, it could be great
great,
if you're on board for that.
totally.
And if we can book John,
Mhm.
yeah, it could be great.
John needs something else to do.
John is smiling with glee. here. For folks who can't see, behind the camera. Yeah.
He's so happy.
Is that a joke?
Call him electrician.
All right.
All right.
We
Any
good?
other questions?
No,
So
thank
we
you
feel good
for your
about this.
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you very
That's all.
much.
Appreciate
Bella.
it.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next topic, the use of town garage space. So, I mean, we did ask for some idea from Marlo to get some type of if we just put in a concrete floor and if we put in electricity, what the cost would be. And then I was thinking, we have behind here nothing but all this storage, and under the future plan, it's trying to take all the files from town hall and move them to higher ground. If one of those bays actually became a storage spot, what would we have to do? What files could be cold storage, or do they have to be climate controlled? Or whether to build inside that space, whether we wanted to move with a place for our files that we have to maintain and keep and get them onto higher ground. I mean, that was just, we had some issues over the years on our archives and our files and our data and moving them out of town hall. So I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but I mean, one garage bay, turn that into a climate-controlled space with a heat pump or something, and
It was
that was
something that
just
we
a thought.
discussed in our original talk of
Yeah.
potentially moving the police up there. And ultimately, what it came down to is that the style of building that it is, you would need extensive insulating and damp proofing and all sorts of things like that.
For
to be
one
able to-
bay? You think so, for one bay
Yeah.
with 4 walls?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Ultimately, from the ideas, from what we were told by the architect, what it would take to make that building into a climate controlled with weatherization and everything, that we might want to just consider talking with like the 5 College Annex and seeing if we can store our stuff there, since it's
Yeah.
already a building that's specific built for that.
I
I
know
also want to
5
try to get rid of a lot of the stuff we have and digitize
5
as
College,
much
we
as
were
possible.
there before, and then they said they wanted all the stuff out.
Yeah.
But even though, and I would think 5 College would be helpful to us since they don't pay taxes. But they're not.
Hmm.
But maybe they are now, I don't know. But,
Hmm.
okay, so if you guys feel that's not a good idea, then we'll just continue with making that into just an area where we can park something undercover, I guess.
It was
Did you-
just, it was the price to retrofit from that style building to what would be needed for file storage it was cost prohibitive as compared to outfitting a different style structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have any structured outfit, so,
Right.
Yeah, it's only a 3-bay garage.
Right.
So that building, we convert that to a working space. It's quite expensive.
Yeah.
Did you want to go over the quotes that you received for some potential work?
I can.
I'm just curious, I mean,
So,
if we're bringing electricity into it and putting in a cement floor, and you got,
Okay, Marlon needs batteries? Great.
take a break. Okay, take 5.
We'll take 5? That's fine. Take 5. Ed's had enough of us. Fair enough. Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, you're all set?
We're back.
Okay, we're back. You were saying,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was saying, well, I don't know what the cost would be, just take one bay and make it into a storage space. But if you guys are saying, the architect's saying it's cost prohibitive, then maybe it is under that structure. Because I'm looking at just like 4 walls insulated with fireproof sheetrock, the stuff you put in the garage, and 3/4 inch sheetrock, and couple plugs and lights because it's not a living space, but
But
I could
it
be
also
wrong.
becomes that the structure is 22 feet tall. So if you just build a 10-foot tall room, what do you do with that space above it? You
Well,
know, are
you
you
can,
putting in floor joists and making that accessible? Does it need LVLs and a steel beam to carry the load for that second floor? Is that all just become then dead space? So that was a lot of what came into consideration. It's
Alright.
not it's not just 4 walls and insulation. It's HVAC, it's humidity controls, it's a lot of
all right. I
involved.
mean, I'm just trying to find a solution for an ongoing issue that we've had for years
I agree.
about
I agree. I just don't think that
storage of our files and stuff. So I guess. All right. Well, anyways, we have this on the agenda. We know we're gonna move forward with a cement floor and electricity at town meeting. Is that what we want to do anyways?
I think that's a question for this
I,
board. I mean, it's a good question about if we think we'll be using this space as a garage, if we haven't
Well, I don't
demonstrated a need
know.
for it.
right,
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do with that building.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a question for this board of if you feel like there is a need for that space, and if so, would we have vehicles that could benefit from being stored there, or do we have other materials to benefit from being stored there? Otherwise, I would worry less about trying to rush to find a use for the building because we might think differently about that entire space at Elm Court. We might have other considerations there. I will say that it's been a point that's been coming up in the Hatfield 2040 Comprehensive Plan Implementation Group, talking about overall it feels like we need a facilities plan, and getting some consultant help to work with that could be a really good thing to help us kind of make some decisions there.
I do agree with you. If we move forward with saying that space is going to be a garage, we definitely would have to have a game plan. Because
Yeah.
if we go to town meeting, we can't just say, well, we're going to put in a floor and electric and not have an idea on how we're going to use it. So I guess I'm not sure. We still don't know what we want to do with that building. Right? We're still.
Yeah.
We feel that we should do something with that building. We just don't know what it should be at this point.
Yeah.
If it's a cold storage space, then if it's going to be used for cold storage, then it just needs a floor and electricity and a couple lights and garage doors, right?
Openers, we got the doors.
Basically. But if it's going to be used for anything else, then it needs other things. And the other things don't work according to the committee we had on the architectural side, saying it just be expensive to renovate that into a useful space for police or fire.
No, it wouldn't be. It's not. It could be renovated into other things.
Okay.
It's just the cost of doing it for the police application or for just the record storage is what makes it cost prohibitive.
Okay, so it's cheaper to build another building
Correct.
instead of renovating
Renovating
that
that one.
Okay,
So really,
turn it into a record
if you-
storage / police station.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So right now, the way that building is constructed, and like with the style of building that it really is a garage space.
Garage and maybe cold storage.
Cold storage, correct.
So you guys feel that the way the present building is, so I got this right, that building could only be used for possibly garage storage.
It makes the most sense for that, yes.
Okay. Or So it really, that's like the only thing it could be used for.
And I'm of the opinion, and this board should tell me if I'm completely wrong, but if a greater need for the town were to come up, and we were to think there's something else you want to do with that entire Elm Court space, which right now belongs to us and is the largest kind of asset we have that's untouched, you take down that garage. I mean, it costs some money to put up, but I don't want to view it as something that prohibits us from using the rest of the space in a way we really want to. I would sooner demolish that and then do something we really want to do with the rest of that space than build our entire plans around just that garage already being there. But that's just my opinion.
The nice thing about that garage space, though, is that where it's situated on the property is fairly out of the way, and the size of the property, you could still, in the future, relocate something there if you wanted to, and that garage space isn't necessarily going to be in the way. I mean, I think garage space is something that this town could always benefit from. And I think the quotes that Marlo got are fairly reasonable for doing the work. And whether it's pouring a floor in there so that we can actually start to use the space and having the garage door openers installed so that we can use those doors, and then the electrical, which is pretty basic. It's floodlights on the outside, high bay lights inside, and then a 200 amp panel that if we ever in the future decided to renovate this space into something you could easily tie into, and you'd have plenty of power to be able to do that. So I don't think any of the things that Marlo is proposing here are things that would stop us from potentially renovating in the future if we ever had to.
So if we go to town meeting, then the reason we're moving forward with this would be for the purpose of utilizing that as a garage space at this point.
Correct.
So if we would have a purpose, if we can agree that that's going to be a garage space, then we go to town meeting, we have an explanation of why we want to do that.
I mean, that was the purpose of the building from the original get-go of this, was for it to be cold garage storage space.
Okay.
It was never presented to the town years ago as being anything more than that. And that was where a lot of residents got hung up the last few years when trying to finish this, is that there's no clear objective of what was going to happen. And so if we clearly know that we want to start to use this as storage space, whether it's for DPW vehicles, the conversation of the COA vans, the school, it could be a school van, it could be numerous things that primarily sit outside and get abused by the sun. You know, we're going to have an over the boom mower, things like that, sitting outside constantly, and the sun isn't great for the hydraulic hoses and things like that. So if we have the opportunity to store something inside, doing so on a floor, being able to operate the doors and having power to be able to see and for security are all a good investment.
Okay, in your opinion?
I don't think we should put another penny into that building until we have a plan.
Plan for,
What we're gonna do with it?
Yeah.
What's exactly, why is it actually needed? These are all good prices, yeah, but we don't know exactly what we're gonna do with that building. And, you know, we could have, I hate to spend money on this and then say, you know, we need to renovate some other building to do something different that has a purpose. Or, you know, all of our structures all need improvement or expansion, and just have another building up there that with another option doesn't make sense to me until.
So do we take it
until we
down
have
and
a
sell
plan.
it? Because it's been sitting vacant for 5 years and we spent a lot of taxpayers' money on it.
Yeah, we did. I agree.
Well, the problem we have now, we have another problem. That's the closing. They want to close the fire station in North Hatfield. So how do we deal with that? Does this all tie in or does it not tie in? I mean, are we going to say, COA, you're going to have to put your van outside because we need the space for public safety piece of apparatus, which is a priority to be inside. It can't be outside. Or how are we going to deal with that? Do we need another couple weeks to think about this, whether we're going to tell the COA, okay, we're going to put the vans up there and we're going to try to renovate that and then bring the fire truck down here? Or, I mean, this is a whole this sort of goes together, I think, in a way.
100%.
Because right now, if we bring the fire truck down here, where do we put it? And do we kick out COA's van? And if we kick out COA's van, do we make them now park it in the parking lot? Or do we put it in a garage that it's got more protection?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the COA is not gonna be happy if we do that, because the drivers probably don't wanna go up there to get the vehicle, but I can't seem to find any other solution, because I looked at the map and I was thinking, well, maybe, like at U-Haul, they have a big canopy for their big trucks
Yeah.
but the end of the town barn here is on the property line just about, so there's no place to even put one.
Mhm.
So I think for our next meeting, we definitely got to make a decision on two things: what we're going to do with the fire truck and what we're going to do with the COA van, and if we want to use Elm Court as a garage storage, or whether I don't think DPW can give up a space up there for the van. I don't think you have any spaces at DPW for a COA van, do you?
Well, I was batting that around, and we do, like Luke had said, we swap equipment out. We have some summer equipment in Elm Court garage, call it a garage, now that we do swap equipment out. And I batted that around. I mean, a lot of our equipment is partially exposed out back too, under the lean-to building. There's no doors, no nothing on it. And all our regular truck bays are full of vehicles that should be in there, so, we're kinda limited. We swap equipment out from one season to the other, from Elm Court back to the yard also.
On the back of your garage, you just have like an overhang for like basic stuff, not the trucks, but just some other equipment, right? That's,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
And
So-
when I got these quotes, it was to, I guess, if you will, to finish the garage that just isn't weather tight right now or protected. That this was bare minimum with lights, get a floor in it. I approached it like it's a garage, because I guess that's what it is. I've talked to the staff a little bit too. Having all our water fittings and piping and everything way up at the water plant, when we have a water main break, is a problem, so we could use one of those bays for storage of just water and sewer repair materials alone. So, I know that's not a grand plan of the building, but I think at the end of the day, it's a garage and it's gonna be storage. I mean, that's my opinion.
Well, let's for the next meeting actually think about this, and if we can use that for garage space, then what's the plan? And it's got to tie in now. All this got to tie in: the fire truck coming down, the COA van, and the stuff from the water department. I guess this all ties in,
Well, there's 3 bays there, pretty good sized bays, so.
because I don't know what else do we propose another building be built someplace, I mean, I don't know. I think people would say, okay, let's fix that one. I don't want to build another one. And I don't think people would like tearing it down and then putting another one in place at this point. But maybe all this stuff can work together. And somebody will be unhappy if we have to move stuff around anyways, but we have to do what we have to do in order to protect our equipment in the town. So, I mean, the fire truck not making sense up North Hatfield, coming down here makes more sense. And then CO van, you can put it in the garage up there, I guess, or I don't know. I'm just trying to put it all together somehow. So why don't we do this? Next meeting, we have to come up with an actual game plan of whether we're going to use it or not use it. And if we're going to use it, how are we going to use it? Because if we go to town meeting, we have to be able to present them why we want to do this and the reasons behind it. Because I know the taxpayers, and I agree with you, taxpayers don't want to pay for anything if they don't have to, if it doesn't make sense. But if it makes sense, and we can show the taxpayers it makes sense, then they're willing to pay for it. So how's that sound? That come up to a compromise that way?
You'll figure it out next meeting. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you have any further questions that you have for either fire or COA, let me know and I can get those to them if you
Okay.
need any more information. But I think you understand the framing pretty well.
It's not an easy one, but it's something that's why you guys make the big bucks.
Yeah.
To be fair, I make $0.
Okay. A notice of bid award for elementary school roof project. I know Andrew has a report on that.
Yep, so this is for your review. You don't need to sign this. This will be signed by the contractor. But this is the result of the bid that went out for the elementary school roof. We received bids last week on Wednesday, March 4th. Low bidder is MDM Engineering out of Dudley, Mass. The architect has worked with them before, which is great to hear. They come well recommended. Their bid came in around $400,000 below the estimated cost of the project. The architect had a thorough discussion with them, just going through their bid, making sure that it matched up with everything that was needed. The big savings comes from the fact that they do their own masonry, and the masonry ended up being a large chunk of the project. So that was a filed sub bid. So they filed that as a sub bid and say that they're the only ones who are allowed to use their work, which made sense. And the other bidders, came in higher on that by around $200,000, $250,000 on that piece of the bid. So that was an advantage that they had because they do their own masonry and they're good at it. And then they came in, pretty reasonable on the rest of it. They're excited about this project. They want to take it on. So, the original budget for this project is $1.67 million. Right now, we're looking at $1.5 million with contingency just for the roof alone. So that's good news. So we're excited to work with Zbigniew Marashka and his team, but over at MDM Engineering. So I think I've asked for you for a vote for that. You don't have anything to sign tonight, but obviously everything will come back to you on that contract at the end of the month. So we'll work on getting all that together.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I'd like to have your vote for awarding the bid to MDM Engineering Company.
I'll take a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the notice of bid award for elementary school roof project.
Second.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great.
Okay, topic 7. This is sad in a way. We're losing 3 police officers. We have one of the police officers has worked for the town for over 19 years. Another officer has made a big impact on the town, even though he's only been here like 4 or 5 years. He's had like 24 years of police service. And these 2 officers, both Mike Johnson and Dave Sampson, are just great examples of what community policing is all about. They've been great for this town, and I'm sorry to see them step back, but they feel it's time for them to step back and move on to other things. And the 3rd officer is Joe Dosher. He wasn't here a long time, but he feels it's best for him to move on. So I'm thankful that he came to town to give it a shot here in Hatfield, but other things have happened and he's moving on to another job. So again, I know for Sergeant Johnson and for Sergeant Sampson, I hope we can send a letter of appreciation, and also to Joe Dosher appreciation. And again, I can't stress how grateful the town of Hatfield is for David Sampson and Michael Johnson for their work for the town of Hatfield. So that's what I have to say before. I don't know if my colleagues want to add anything before we go with motions to approve their retirement from the Hatfield Police Department.
I personally will miss working with MJ and David, both of them. They're both great guys to work with.
I think you nailed it on the head when you said that they represent what community policing is. So fantastic.
So thank you, guys. So I will entertain a motion on, each of them has to be separate, so.
I will make a motion to approve the retirement of Sergeant Michael Johnson from the police department.
Second.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I will make a motion to approve the retirement of David A. Sampson from the police department.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I will make a motion to approve the resignation of Joe Dosher from the police department.
Second.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys, for your work for the town of Hatfield. That's one of the reasons at the beginning of our meeting, I was saying, if you know of people that are interested in law enforcement, then talk to our chiefs, or fire service, talk to our chiefs. They can give you explanation. We do have a resignation from Greg Neal as Assistant Electrical Inspector. I want to thank him for his service to the town of Hatfield, and I'll entertain a motion on that.
I will make a motion to approve the resignation of Craig Neal as Assistant Electrical Inspector.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we are requesting an appointment of Lori Motika to the Board of Registrars for a 3-year term.
I will make a motion to appoint Lori Motika to the Board of Registrars for a 3-year term beginning April 1st, 2026 and expiring March 31st, 2029.
Second.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Topic 8, Town Administrator Report.
All right.
Back to you, Andrew. Okay.
So I do have to say, I did not think I would be here this evening. So I did structure the meeting to have a lot of presentations and contributions from other folks. And I think it's been great to hear so much from Marlo and from Bella and from others. So thank you to all of you for that. You all know this, but my family is expecting our second child, and my wife's due date was Friday. So we are on borrowed time at the moment, as it were. But we're all doing great. And I will be out for 2 weeks once baby's born, and I'll keep in touch with all of you so you can at least get pictures. So everything is going fine. So health insurance, I am looking for another quote that should be coming in shortly. We talked about Maya, the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust had made some changes, so we're looking to accept those. We have a choice to either go through the kind of formal process that we talked about last time under NGL 32B, section 21 through 23, or just negotiate with the union and accept changes the way you normally would with collective bargaining agreements. I think that's the way we're going to try to go to streamline things a little bit. If we do want to leave the trust still, if we have another quote that's better, we need to inform them by April 1st. So time is ticking. I assume we'll stay with the trust for next year, but I'll let you know if we end up with a very good offer. Electronic timesheets are live in the treasurer's office. So this next payroll will be going through electronically in the treasurer's office alone, and then we'll start spreading it out to other offices. We'll do town administrator, we'll do town clerk, and then we'll start bringing it out to other folks. So that's all good news. New website, the design looks great. We're just giving everyone the permissions they need to start making their changes on their end, but April 2nd is our date for that at the moment. And then Route 5, Ty and Bond has done their field work, and we will update folks when we have more information. We'll also be working with a geotechnical engineering consultant to do some deeper dives there. And that's Buskard Engineering out of Amherst. They seem great. We've enjoyed talking to them so far, so I think they'll be very helpful. And then the elementary school roof, we've already talked about. That's in great shape. And the Day Pond dredge, the dredging work itself is complete. And then as soon as the weather is warm enough, they'll do the existing site remediation, and then we'll be in good shape. The one hiccup we've had is that we were told early in advance that if we had a JV baseball team this year at Smith Academy, they would need that field out there. They haven't had one in years, and this year, of course, is the year they've been able to field the team. So we will have some work that we'll try to do as fast as possible so the team can get out there and play in their first season in years. But that's just great news all around that dredge is done. We've got a JV team, and then
Wow.
everything will be restored. So that's all heading in a good direction there. That's great. That's really good.
Baseball and softball.
Yeah, some more athletics. It's good to hear. So that's all I've got for my report this evening. I'll use the end of my report to segue into your last item that we had to add. I am finishing an application for the Farm Museum for the state's Massachusetts Preservation Projects Fund. It's a big application. We've gotten a lot of support from the architect on it, which is great. There's a lot of hoops in here, but I think we're going to make them all. We have a letter that's signed by Historic Commission here and a bunch of other folks. There is a requirement in this application to have your signature, a vote and a signature saying that you authorize me to enter into a contract with the state historic office should we be awarded a grant. So we'll need a vote from you saying that you would authorize me to sign that, and also that you'd authorize me to sign on to a preservation restriction. There already is a preservation restriction on the site, but so I don't believe that that's necessary. But it is a required part of the application. So just need your vote to authorize me to sign contracts with the Massachusetts
Any
Historic Office.
questions? Any questions?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a
then.
motion to authorize the town administrator to execute a contract with the Massachusetts Historical Commission for the repair of the Cutter Farm Museum.
Motion made,
Second?
motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We have anything before we go into executive session? And
I have nothing else.
okay, well,
We're all
first
good?
of all, I wish you luck on the
Thank
new one.
Yes.
I know. They come whenever they feel like coming, so.
It's the only option.
Okay, meeting in executive session with special counsel pursuant to General Law 30A. I'm making a motion to go into executive session with special counsel pursuant to General Law C-30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation arising from the Route 5 infrastructure project and pursuant to General Law C-30A, Sections 21A7T, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements, specifically the Public Records Law, General Law C4S726, discuss privileged communication from special counsel and not to return in regular session.
I'll second that.
Motion made, motion seconded. Jaworski, aye.
Yan I.
Longstreet, aye.
Thank you. We're going in executive session and we will not be returning. And thank you, John, for taping tonight.